so it keeps them strong and keeps them from breaking.
Oh, I should do that. Welcome to Open Tabs, everyone. Uh, by twice weekly Substack Live, where we talk about 3 stories taking up space in our tabs, our feeds, and our brains. Nails. I feel like on Tuesday's edition, we were also starting it by talking about our nails. I feel like
I also totally threw you off, with
I like it. I feel like nails are like more top of mind during the summertime. Some reason I don't know if like because toes are out. I'm usually like a bare nails person, but in the summer I like having a pop of color on my fingers. I don't know.
When you
Something
say
about it.
bare nails, that means like nothing on them, or do you get like
Nothing.
clear polish? Okay.
I'll sometimes who is it? Essie has this pretty polish. It's like a clear pink and it just gives like the tiniest pink tint to your nails and like makes them shiny. I'll use that in the winter. I like that. Okay guys, we have 3.
To give one little plug also on a really good polish that I discovered for like it's gel if you want the look of like clean, simple nails, like bare nails, but you have like a little something on there, but it's even less than like the ballet slipper. It's OPI. Love is in the Bear. And it's BARE. It's really good. The nail tech that I went to at Ooh La La Salon in Mill Valley recommended it. And I said, I was like, oh, I just want that like sort of wet nail look that looks like I didn't put anything on. And she's like, I know exactly what it is. And she just has such like conviction in it. And it is really, really good. So little plug
You
there.
included that in your like little swell
Yeah. In my swell
right?
stuff we love, stuff I love. Yeah, my friends, Jenny and Carly, that I do it with, they tend to be more like fashion forward. And that is not me. I'm more like just, I don't know. I just am sort of thinking of it as literally stuff that I love in the moment. So chose 5 things. One of them we're going to talk about later on this podcast, Yesteryear, which both of you guys read. So I'm so excited to finally have some people to talk about it with. But yes, the Love is in the Bear is a really good polish that I think everyone should just like own, and you can have it, if and when you need that look.
I just love nail polish names. Like they're always so fun.
It is so fun. As you guys know, I'm like a Bravo holic, and it was one of the New York City housewives did like a nail polish line, and like there was a whole episode about her naming different polishes and like the packaging of it, and it was so much fun.
I love that.
Okay. First thing on the docket today, another Meta story we want to cover. Meta is in the process of developing their own standalone prediction market app. They're going to call it Arena. And apparently it's like very much being spearheaded by Mark Zuckerberg. So he is the one who's really pushing this. And prediction markets like Kalshi, Polymarket, that's who they would be competing against. And apparently, like, as of now, it would be through a points system, but they're not ruling out using like actual real money wagers. And I mean, I'm not really surprised. Polymarket and Kalshi together have driven $130 billion in trades in just 2026 alone. So in like set 6 months. It's very lucrative right now.
Does not using money allow them to like lower the age?
Probably.
Right. That's literally why they would do that, is because you're training a habit early.
I also think just in general, gambling right now is huge in our culture, but gambling has such a stigma. So we're seeing a lot of like gambling type activities and sectors grow, not using that language. Like one that's troubling me is Pokemon cards. Like that is gambling behavior. Like, and it's like so normal for kids to be ripping packs, but it's like you're treating like it's a slot machine essentially. And so it's like you're getting them hooked on that dopamine rush that one day will translate to gambling with actual money, you know? And even like if you listen to like gambling ads, like for like DraftKings, I get those a lot on the various podcasts I listen to. They have to do a huge disclaimer about like, if you need help, call this and in this state. And it's kind of like a pharmaceutical ad. And I think the further away they can get from actual gambling, the less stipulations and rules and hoops they have to jump through.
Megan, why is gambling having a moment? Like, do we have any sense of that? Because
They did.
I haven't really thought about this until you just stated that. I'm like, it kind of is. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I think it has everything to do with the government and the lack of oversight. And like we have a leader right now who's kind of like a grifter and is like pro grift and is like go out and scam people. And so it started in his first administration, and then a lot of the laws around gambling were changed. And like that's why we saw a proliferation of apps like Kalshi and online casinos. And then I think it's a way for boys to do something and like feel like they're entrepreneurial and they're smart and they're predicting the market and making money off of it. Like it's being positioned as a very legitimate pastime and hobby, just honestly to like make money.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
it literally feels like it's like I'm hearing crypto again. Like I feel like crypto was that, and then now this is like that version of it. You know what I mean? Like it's like a quiet side hustle you can do where like, oh, you know,
Yeah.
And at least in like the content I'm being served up, I'm watching Love Island right now. My algorithms know that. So I'm getting a lot of Kalshi ads from Love Island, like commentators who are now doing ads. And it's people predicting the winners and like how long couples are going to stay together and all of that. Um, and I also am getting them for like sports betting. I'm not a sports fan at all. And it's really interesting the framing that they're using to like target women, young women. It's like, oh, you don't even need to know anything about sports. Like,
stop.
I don't even know anything about sports, but my boyfriend told me to bet $5 on blah blah blah, and I won $200 just like that. It's like very concerning.
Wait,
And
while I'm thinking about it, also next time you see that, can you screenshot it and
yeah,
just like send it to us? I am so curious about this. I also feel like what we're talking about right now is an arena. I hate to use that phrase, but like it is sort of a space. Like I'm so unfamiliar with all of this. Like it feels very like, even though there is so much happening in this,
I
I don't
think
know.
it's like I think Megan's right that like the pipeline is starting very young. And I think it's been happening for like the last decade. When I was in high school and my summers during college, I worked at my hometown's toy store, and it was right when mystery boxes were really starting to take off. And it that's a form of gambling, like you were saying with Pokemon cards, Megan. Like kids would come in and it would literally be like they were jonesing for whatever the mystery box of the moment was. Um, and I remember they would come in and then like they would buy one, leave, open it right outside the store. They didn't get what they want. They would come back in, buy another one. And there were times when parents would like buy the entire case of mystery boxes because their kid wanted a
Oh my
specific
God.
one. Um, and I was like, this is weird. And I feel like it's setting up that like dopamine rush in kids really young. And as they get older, they're now getting that hit from prediction markets. And they've heavily targeted young men because sports is obviously like a very easy tie-in. And I feel like now they're trying to target young women with shows with reality TV and like, oh, your boyfriend watches sports and he's betting on sports. Well, why don't you? You don't need to know anything. Just bet.
Well, you know what's so funny? I have like two things that came to mind as you were just talking to him. The first one is there does feel like there has been this larger movement of like women now, like the fandom of women actually going towards sports, like there's Sports-ish is a really great Instagram account that's an example of like, again, like the feminine gaze at sports. And I think it's really well done and like really interesting and like has even for me as a follower, I'm like, it's always like sharing information that doesn't feel like it's like super widely known. Like it feels very like it's just smart and it feels editorial and it feels like very it's it's indicative also of like, again, I always joke I'm like a new sports fan in my 40s because of my 8-year-old. And I'm now like at, Major League Baseball games and like all these things. And so um there is like there's just more, it's like it's almost the convergence also with all the merch stuff we've talked about. Like you go to any of these sporting events, now there's like women's merch that's like, like there's pink, there's like different colors. Like I don't think like it doesn't feel like sports teams are so like um stuck in like the colors of like the team, right? Like it definitely feels like there's this whole like women being included in sports thing happening. Um and then the other thing I was going to comment on, and it's just so funny hearing you talk about these mystery boxes because with my own kids, something we're going to talk about on this also are the butter squishies. But like I was in the car with my kids the other day and we were talking about butter squishies. And then I was talking about how when I was a kid, I went to that same toy store that you worked at the year that Tickle Me Elmo was like crazy. And I went in the day before Christmas Eve and they had a raffle and you had to buy something to enter the raffle. And I bought a pair of dice. It was the cheapest thing I could find. They were literally like $1 or something. And I won. I won the Tickle Me Elmo. And my dad was like, let's sell it, And I was like, no, whatever. And then it literally stayed in the box preserved until Wally came along. And I was like, all right, I think I can open this thing up now, like whatever. And I did search. It didn't have like high value at the time. All of which to say, then I was like, well, have you guys ever heard of like Pogs and like, what are, do you guys know Pogs and like Slammers? That was a whole thing that kids did for a long time when I was in elementary school. It's like these discs and you would collect them all. And then the slammer, there's like some sort of game, but like I don't think anyone knew how to really play it. And the slammers were like these heavy things and you would like slam it down. And there was always this like the rare one, like I want to try to find like it's the same thing with Pokemon. It's similar to like, and then I was talking to them about Beanie Babies and I was like, oh, the Princess Diana Beanie Baby, like all these like whatever. And it's just interesting to sort of hear it now. I mean, similarly, like we're not going after mystery boxes, but it is these like there's these mini balls. It's like mini ball culture. You go through like Target and it's like these like millions of tiny things and then there's the mystery mini ball. And it's just junk. It's just like piles of cheap plastic junk that are totally filling up landfills that I mean, I'm participating in this, but it's interesting. I never really thought about it as it relates to like gambling though, but it's not wrong. Kind of sitting with that.
Yeah. And I think like back then there was some sort of barrier to entry. Like you would have to go to the toy store and to buy your mystery box. You would have to hunt down the Princess Diana Beanie Baby, or the Tickle Me Elmo.
To it.
Yeah, there was work and effort you had to put in, or if you really wanted to gamble, you had to fly to Vegas. Now you just pull up your phone. And it was really interesting. One of my favorite YouTubers, Drew Gooden, did a whole, like, I think it's close to 1 hour long video deep dive into sports betting. And he like tried it and he's like, he was getting like notifications during games from the gambling app that's like, this just happened. Like, bet on the outcome, like blah, 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 blah. And he was noticing like how they were timing it with the game. Like in the third quarter, it got like heavy notifications, like every 5 minutes from it. And he even talked about like watching ESPN and they were doing a segment on the dangers of sports betting and like the slippery slope. And in the corner was an ad, like a Chiron advertising call sheet. And he was like, they took it off. Somebody noticed it after like 2 minutes and it just like disappeared from the screen. But like how it's infiltrated everywhere. It's now like in ads at stadiums. And now I'm getting ads on my phone about Love Island and like Bravo shows.
Yeah, there was also an article in one of the prestigious New York newspapers, I forget which one, of someone who was given money to sports gamble and like lost it. And like I think he started like using his own money and like was like, I have to stop. Like, I literally was like, I was falling down this slope. Like, he fully was aware he was going into it as an experiment and that he was like, it was working on me. I grew up in a time where Lifetime was a thing, Lifetime television for women. And there was this Delta Burke movie called Going for Broke, which was about this woman who gets addicted to gambling and it ruins her life. And I
No.
saw that. And since then, I've been like, gambling is the worst. And so, like, I've never done any of this stuff and never been interested, but I get so many ads for
Yeah.
Kalshi. But the ads I get, it's funny, the ones you've been saying you get are very much like, your boyfriend's doing this. Like, you like reality TV. The ones I get are very much like, you're so smart. Like, you're like so much smarter than your friends. Like, you should definitely be doing this. Like, because you're always right, right? And it's like, they know how to get you. Because
Yeah.
it's like they know that maybe it's not about the money, but it's like all of these deeper things and like ancillary things that gambling is doing and providing. And it's really predatory.
It's so predatory. And what was really interesting about Drew's Gooden's deep dive in this, and his was specifically about sports, but I think it connects in everything, is that this was beneficial to ESPN, not only because their poly market is paying, or, Kalshi is paying for ad space, but it incentivizes people to watch the full games. And he was like, if a game is like a blowout and it's the third quarter and the winner is obvious, he's like, usually you would just turn the channel because it's not engaging.
That is so interesting.
And I'm now getting ads that are like long shot, like go all the way. And he's like, it incentivizes you to sit through the entire game. And I imagine that's the same with Love Island. Like, it incentivizes you to come back 5 days a week, which we've talked about. It's a commitment. It's basically a part-time job. And even like Substack has a partnership with Polymarket. It incentivizes you
Do
to,
they?
yeah, to
Good.
stay.
I am like so behind the times with this. Okay, would you guys do it? What do you?
No,
No.
I wouldn't, because I do think I can see how addictive.
You're like, ads. Listen to me. I will not participate, no matter how smart you tell me I am.
Well, do you guys want to hear my tinfoil hat conspiracy theory about this?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Is this guy blue?
I think that they figured out that like I think that one of my conspiracies about how the TikTok algorithm works and why it's so good and intuitive is that they've identified like users to be curators. And they've basically been like, these people are really good at predicting which videos are going to go viral before they go viral. So we can use them as a signal to, if they like something, that's a quality check of this is good content, and we'll be more likely to push it out. And so I feel like there's kind of this idea of like, you can pull out outliers from the data and like use them as like, and then if you have like 100 people who are just like good at predicting things, then you have a pretty good sense of what's going to happen next. And I think they're legit looking for people who have a predilection for predicting things and like pattern recognition and seeing where things are going to go. Cause like there's no reason I should be getting as many Kalshi ads as I am getting. I never click them. I block them. I like do everything I can, but they really want me. And I feel like it's because I'm one of those users that's like, I say something and then 2 years later, it's like, okay, this is like happening. And because of the nature of data and AI, they can actually pick out who those people are now with like accuracy. And if you don't know you're one of those people, you're coming over to Kalshi and making all these predictions that then someone else can turn around and be like, this is giving me more confidence to bet on this thing and with higher stakes and more money. So that's my tinfoil hat conspiracy theory, that they kind of want us for our like intuition and sixth sense more than they actually want our betting dollars.
Okay, John Floor.
Yeah.
I think there's something to it. I mean, I will say I think that there's a way to have both one and. as you're saying that. Like, I think it's yes, like this is a consumer facing product to use to get the masses to spend money while also keeping an eye on the data to see of all this big social experiment, what bubbles up. I mean, that must be, you're totally right. Like, I don't even think it's a tinfoil hat theory. Like, I think that it actually feels almost solid enough to totally believe it. I believe that. I think that's totally true. And if you think about your content, Megan, and how you speak on here and cool shiny insights and all of that. And you know what? I bet you when you say ads, are you getting them on TikTok? Is it TikTok where they're getting
Everywhere.
them everywhere?
Everywhere.
See,
They're,
I
like,
feel
hunting me.
to your point, I feel like your behavior on TikTok, I bet, is like what they're looking at the most closely.
I
Just
think
that.
also just TikTok is the platform where your data is like, the most collected and all of that, and, like, they have
Mhm.
access to everything, you know?
They have
Like,
all the
and
access.
we know that because we're like, "But it gives me funny videos in exchange, so it's fine." Yeah.
Fools, fools. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Now, when does Arena hit the
It
market?
hasn't said yet, just they're working on it behind the scenes. And it's part of a larger effort for Meta to create separate standalone apps from Facebook and Instagram. So I'm sure Arena is just one of many apps that they are currently developing right now. I think this is them realizing they have to like diversify from video. They've put all their eggs on like Facebook and Instagram into the video basket, and they're trying to expand beyond that.
Like, I just like would love like what is the vision of all of this? Like, I just don't think that there is one. And all of these different tactical moves just feel so like follow the leader. Like it feels so like there's just no like it just doesn't feel like a vision and like executing against something and also greater good or like any like it just feels so dark and like projecting onto and off of other things that already exist. And
Mhm.
it feels like the big bully, I mean, maybe not bully, but like it's just such a big company that it can like take over and like squash. I don't know, it just like bums me out. I think and I say that because for better or for worse, like I think back to when I was in Australia, when I was studying abroad in 2005, like that's when I signed up for Facebook. And it was such an exciting thing. Like that how it started and like what it was. And like, oh my God, it really was just like once you got it and you got on it, you were like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. And it's just such a like bummer to see where it is. And like, I mean, obviously it like has been successful. It's just like, I don't know. I'm like, Mark's in his bunker in Kauai. Like, what are, like, okay,
Yeah,
wait, this thing a little bit more, like, call me. Like, I'm the same age as him, or I think he's a year younger than me. But like, it's like, can we like just step outside of the box for a second? Like, there's just so much that could be done. And like, Tuesday we're talking about hardware. Now I'm like, come on, like, okay, I guess. I don't know.
it's just like it's just lame. Like
I'm like, oh, okay.
they're you know monetizing off of our worst impulses as humans from, like you said, Melissa, their bunkers. And I always think it's like so funny when you read a profile on like Mark Zuckerberg or these big tech guys and like how wellness centered they are and like how they make their money is literally like destroying people's brain cells. So it's very funny. But yeah, this just came out yesterday. This like arena story broke. So we'll definitely keep following it as it develops. Okay, our second story. That was such a good conversation. I didn't want to cut us off. So we'll be a little quicker with our butter squishies combo. And it's a good segue into our third and final topic. Okay, so when we were last on live, Tuesday, Melissa, you pointed out the rising obsession with butter squishies and that you're like seeing them everywhere and your kids have them, correct? Or they want them?
No, we have some. Normally, we live in Marin County and outside San Francisco, and we're currently in New York on the North Fork of Long Island, where Em and I grew up. Um, and we have a house here, and so our kids have friends here that they only see, like twice a year, like Christmas and summer. And it was so fun because we were hanging out with some of our close friends and they came over and brought us butter squishies. And they're like, we don't know if you guys have heard of these. But they were like, you can get them at the 7-Eleven, and like all the kids in like the elementary schools here are like crazy about them. They look like butter, sticks of butter, and they smell like butter. And they have again, going back to what we were saying earlier, like my son tells me that the ultra rare one says 250 on it. Like I think it's like $2.50, but also the 250th anniversary. So I don't know if those are like Americana squishies. I don't know if the butter lobby is like I don't know anything about them, but I'm so excited because I think you came across an article that sort of
It was really funny.
Context to this.
Really funny. So Melissa brought butter squishies to our attention on Tuesday. And then I was watching a vodcast, one of my favorite podcasts, and I realized that one of the hosts was playing with a butter squishy during the episode. And I was like, okay, I feel like we're talking about yesteryear, Ballerina Farm, butter, dairy, Americana. Let me look into butter squishies. And an article had come out that same Tuesday. So it was perfect timing. And they dive into like why butter and why this happened in the first place. So obviously like sensory toys have always been a thing for kids. It like started with slime on YouTube and then I feel like has now shifted into squishies. And they conclude that like the big thing, the big squishy to have was Neato a few
Oh,
weeks ago.
you can buy those at 7-Eleven too. Lucy lost hers for a good 12 hours in this house, and it was really bad. It was the black and pink one. And I was like, what is the Neato? I didn't go to, like, they convinced my mom to buy these. And I was like, I haven't even seen it. It's like square. It's like a square squishy thing. And it feels more like a stress ball. Like that's
Okay, it's not as squishy then. But the article says
no. The butter one is like,
okay, for some reason or other, Neato took off. It's square, rectangular squishy, also sold at 7-Eleven. People were wiping them out. Sounds like it was like flashbacks to when I was at the toy store and people were wiping out our mystery boxes. And so there were the Neatos were all sold out, but there were butter squishies and they're similar shape. They have a smell. They're a little bit more squishy. So people started buying that as a result of the Neato shortage. And now the butter is taking over the Neatos. It's like all very interesting. So the Neato like shortage led to the rise of butter. And I feel like it is very like culturally relevant. I would imagine for like the millennial parents of these kids who are buying all these squishies. We talked about last week and in 2 days newsletter that went out this Thursday, the rise of Americana. There's one of the like rising influencer brands right now is Dairy Boy. I actually was listening to a podcast episode, The Skinny Confidential, him and her, with the founder of Dairy Boy, Paige Lorenz.
well, I saw that's new, right? Like it
just came out this week, I believe. It's a good listen.
I love her aesthetic. I really like how she.
Um,
Her and Wishbone Kitchen are my like. I just think that they
Yeah.
are so. I just like their taste and how they put their content together.
And a big part of the conversation was dairy products. And that like before she started Dairy Boy 5 years ago, she was living in New York City and it was all like alternative plant milk. And she's like, I was doing it because it was trendy. And she's like, I just one day was like, I don't like the taste of plant milk. I'm going to order a latte with whole milk. And like, it was a thing, like nobody was drinking dairy milk. And so as like a joke, she started selling like Dairy Boy hats. Like that dress trucker hats that said Dairy Boy Summer. Like it's a dairy summer. We're eating real butter. We're putting butter on everything. We're drinking whole milk. And now she has like basically an entire lifestyle brand. And I feel like that's part of it. Like the Ballerina Farm churning butter, like it's the content millennials are consuming, and now their kids are buying butter squishies.
Does Paige Lorenz, does her brand actually sell food products?
No, I wouldn't be totally surprised. I know, like her.
Didn't she move to the country, like Connecticut?
Yeah,
Like, I
she's
think
in Connecticut. It's very interesting. It was so like Americana core, her interview with them. Like she's like New York City. It was like what everyone was doing. All the people in their 20s, they're all drinking plant milk and living in the city. And it just wasn't me. I wanted a garden and like I wanted to ride my horse. And I left New York City and it was so radical of her to do that. But I think it's only a matter of time. I wouldn't be surprised if she like kind of went East Coast Ballerina Farm and like bought a farm on Connecticut. Her fiance is a pro tennis player. Like I feel like it's only a matter of time before they're
I'm
like.
going to make a prediction. I think you're going to see a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see a lot of people following the Magnolia, like the Magnolia, the Chip and Joanna Gaines model. Like Ballerina Farm is doing that. I think that like we talked about this, I don't think it was this week, but maybe last week. Like, what is it that influencers are to do? Like, so you build these audiences, when we talk about like the paths of it, there is a cultural curve in this, Megan. I can feel it somewhere, but like it feels like, so you build this audience and then what? And then what? And right. And so it's like, maybe it's on TikTok, maybe it's on Instagram, and then you graduate to YouTube and then you do the YouTube thing. But then what? Then you do merch and then there's merch and you have a tangible thing, but like, how do you make it more tangible? How do you um, how do you have the full sensory experience of this brand, of a lifestyle brand? And I have a friend here, Leanne Collection Co., who is amazing. And I've said, like, you should I said to her, I was like, you should totally like do a Magnolia here on the North Fork. Like, this is where you're from. Like, you should make that experience so people can come and experience it, I feel like that's like where, if I was thinking of this as like the curve of the creators and like what creators are to do, I feel like we're at that now and I don't know what's next. Like, so if that happens, like, and then there's like boutique hotels, or then there's like restaurants, or there's like all these like, where it's like a, again, like a luxury sort of curated experience. Like, I don't know what the then is. Or that's like, maybe that's like, if we're in the era right now of merch, and it's like, again, I think it's sensory. Like, to me, it's like driven by sensory. That's why it's like clothing, you feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think it's interesting, Megan, that your question was like, does she sell food? Because I'm like, well, that feels like it could be the next thing. Raw milk or whatever milk product, blah. That's like taste. And the butter squishies are smell. And so then it's like, then what's like that sort of, how do you then kind of immerse more fully? It's like, and Megan, world building. It's building a world. Like, that's what it is. And then inviting people in, and you've curated this like world experience for them.
It's very Westworld. Like I think and this is going to be
that is a very dark way. Yes, it is Westworld
epic. So let me do this right now. Okay.
Wait, does Megan have any? Wait, really quick, Megan, do you have any other thoughts on that? On the butter squishy, or the all things we were just talking about?
Not specifically. I agree with a lot of it. And I think I'll be thinking about what's next in terms of like what to do, like what should Paige do. I almost think it's interesting that like this is like food that's not about food, of like dairy that's like she's not actually selling dairy, but has made that her brand. And like the squishy is like not actual food, but they're playing with it. Like, I think this idea, like the idea of Americana is like as attractive as like actually consuming it, which I think is also the point of yesteryear.
Yes. So, okay, if you guys don't want to be spoiled for the book Yesteryear by Caro Claire Burke, maybe hop off right now and you can pick this episode up after you finish the book because we're going to do like a little mini book club because we've all read the book and it's very connected to the world of influencers, tradwives, content, and Americana.